Hey, Teddy K here for the Best Buy blog, and in this video we're taking a look at the Google Pixel Watch 2. Google's back with a sequel for its smartwatch, and it's available at Best Buy now, and it's going to bring some new features to your wrist. The Pixel Watch 2 is a sequel, but it's a sequel that comes with a lot of compelling stuff to make it a reasonable and actually compelling upgrade over its predecessor. Normally I wouldn't say that going from one year to the next, but Google added some stuff here that makes a lot of sense. So we can see how similar these two watches are, right? We have the Pixel Watch 2 here, and then we have the original here. The design is generally the same. The dimensions are pretty much the same. Everything else is going to be very, very similar. So even the strap mechanism is also exactly the same as well, which means that any strap that you used on this will work on this. No problem there at all. So if you're upgrading from one to the other, you can actually take your straps with you. Pretty cool, right? Now, beyond that, there are a lot of other similarities too. When it comes to the software, although clearly Google has made some changes to the Pixel Watch 2, the interface is largely the same otherwise. So you're going to be able to get your notifications here by swiping up, or you can swipe down and get your settings and have all the tiles as you swipe left and right. Now, it is like a carousel, right? So if you go either way, you'll just go back to where you were. So you can see generally getting around the interface is going to feel the same, especially if you're upgrading from the original to the new one. However, they do charge differently, and this is something that I got to point out because the new Pixel Watch 2 uses a different charger mechanism than the previous watch did. So I'll get to that later, but it is something to keep in mind because the new watch uses a 4-pronged magnetic charger that is proprietary, whereas the original watch used a Qi or wireless charger that basically would work with any Qi wireless charger. So you're going to have some challenges there as far as charging goes. The watch is still pretty sleek though, even with the aluminum body that makes it just a little lighter than the stainless steel body of the original. So that's always a plus. But there are other things that Google has made changes to as well. And one of the key ones that I'd like to point out is the ECG, which is more easily available to get to now than it was before. It was a more difficult process with the original, but now you can get there a lot easier, which is always a plus in my opinion. So it's a nice little feature. On top of that, you have the basics, right? So you have heart rate, you have quick start for all the exercises. I should note here that running and walking are going to be automatically tracked, so you don't have to worry about manually starting those exercises, but for all the other ones, you're going to have to. So for example, if you go down the list, all the other ones here are going to manually start. You have to manually start them yourself if you want to track them, right? So that's one thing just to keep in mind. It's the same as the previous Pixel Watch and a lot of other smart watches too, but it's nice to see, and at least there's at least some automatic tracking that's in there. The Fitbit presence, or at least Fitbit's integration in here, is pretty significant. You'll notice that there's more of a Fitbit kind of flavored everything when it comes to the health tracking, not to mention that the watch itself will work with the Fitbit app. So when you set it up, you're going to pair it actually with your Fitbit app, and you'll get all the details and all the metrics and all the tracking on that app. If you just click the crown, you'll get to all the apps you have on the watch. Now, calendar, Gmail, a bunch are on here. One of my favorites though is camera, so I really like this one a lot because it enables you to use your phone's camera. I have it hooked up here with a Pixel 8 Pro, so if I wanted to set up the phone to take photos, I could control the camera on the phone through my watch. So I can take photos, switch lenses, I can zoom in, zoom out, things like that. It's really, really cool. And to actually see that work, so if you're a mobile photographer and you're looking for a way to control your camera, setting up it on a tripod or something like that, you cannot go wrong. And you don't have to be any kind of professional mobile photographer to take advantage of that, so I recommend that you give it a shot because I think you'll be surprised at how cool it really is. Beyond that, all the other apps are pretty standard, many of which are just returning from the previous Pixel Watch. Spotify is a given, so you have that one. You also have YouTube Music, which is a standard one as well. If you want to use that, you can do that too. Messages. And we also have personal safety. So this one is interesting. It applies new features that, for example, like let's look at Safety Check. It's a neat feature that enables you to let others know you're okay. So this could be friends or family members, or even emergency response if you need them called automatically on your behalf. You can do it yourself, but if for whatever reason you're incapacitated and you can't, there are ways for that to happen automatically. So it's a nice thing that Google's added here. that I think is useful. So you have to set it up initially. It's not set up for you in advance, but once you do, you're pretty good to go. Now, that's not the only one, because there are others as well. So if I go back here, personal safety, okay, now it's going to make me sort of set this up here, right? But you can see kind of how this works, and it's not the only feature though, right? Because if I go to emergency settings, so I have emergency contacts, so if I ever need to share my location or anything like that, my emergency contacts will know that. And then of course that could include a phone call through the watch, even assuming that it has connectivity, of course, which is easier to do if you have LTE connections, or there's an emergency call there, you get emergency response. And when your battery is below 30, yep, there you go. So all of this is all cool stuff that I think is useful, because it's ultimately, again, just trying to add an extra layer of safety to a device you're going to be wearing it all the time. So I think that's very, very cool to see. But I like here that there's some detailed explanations as to what all these things do, so at least you know what you're getting into. I don't want to get too into the weeds with all the apps, because there's so many available, and you can go to the Play Store and find more. Actually, I'll just show you here quickly. So you just go into the Play Store and you can always browse for more apps as you see them here. You can do this on your phone as well. You'll notice that if you go to the Play Store on your phone, there's going to be a section there called Watch Apps. Go to that, and then you can install the apps from there onto your watch as well. So you don't always have to do it through here if the interface isn't to your liking. But just gives you an idea basically of how many apps are available, which is a growing number, clearly. So Google Pay is something, and Google Wallet, I mean, all those things, again, carryovers from the previous watch, they work really, really well. Messages, you have incoming messages that come in, you can respond to them even by voice. So the microphone and speaker array that is on this watch is the same as before. I wish it was a little louder in terms of hearing people talking to you, but for the most part, it works really, really well, and pretty easy to not only take a call, but also to respond to a message using Google Assistant. So the integrations are good, and I like them. Well, my one gripe here though is, for example, if I wanted Spotify or Stocard or any of the third-party apps, like Strava, whatever it is, even WhatsApp, actually, now that I see it, if I wanted any of these apps to be tiles, so for example, if I wanted them to be tiles like this, it's just something I can't do. And I wish it's something that Google would change. Instead, what I have to do is, if I go and I press this button, it'll show me the recent apps I've opened, which is cool, because if I'm using an app more often, it's probably going to show up very early like that. But I just wish that it would have been easier to at least swipe this way and that way, but it is what it is. If you want to change watch faces, that's easy to do too. If you just hold down on the, oh, that didn't work. If you just hold down on the watch there, okay, now we got it. Now, if I want to add a new one, all I got to do there is just tap that, okay, and then I can just actually just scroll down like this using the crown, and I can see some of the different options. Again, this is something you can do on the Pixel Watch app. If you're using a Pixel phone, the Pixel Watch features will be in the settings as opposed to a separate app. But when you open it up, you will be able to also switch watch faces and change or add whatever you want through there too. So it doesn't always have to be through the watch, but of course, if you do it this way, you can see how it looks when you're wearing it. So one feature that's going to be a little harder to show would be something like the skin temperature sensor, or even the cEDA, or the electrodermal sensor. So basically, this is measuring things like stress, right? There's a body response that, yeah, here it is right here. So body response will oftentimes, like not often, but at least once a day, maybe a couple times a day, it will prompt you to check in. So if you check in, and then you can sort of log what mood you're in, it uses this information along with all the other tracking that's going on. So from your activity, your sleep, all that stuff, to kind of give you an idea of how stressed you are, how you might be affected by what it is you're doing, I guess, in your daily life. And although it gives you a template, it gives you an idea of kind of where you stand, it doesn't necessarily tell you, it doesn't really guide you really on what you can do. Now, of course, if you're lacking sleep, that's an obvious one, right? If you're feeling stressed about a certain situation that you're certainly aware of, that's something that you could rectify that the watch wouldn't know about. But either way, it's something that's easy to I think, to manage. Now, it doesn't necessarily give you guidance on what you can do for whatever stress situation. Now, obviously, if you're lacking sleep, that's an obvious one, but it's not going to tell you a whole lot more beyond that. I mentioned the charger earlier, and I just want to show you here what I mean. So the charger, as you can see, it has the prongs, right? The thing is that when you place the watch on the charger, it has to go in only one way. So now this is the proper way. Okay, it goes in, and it, you know, with magnets, it'll stay in there. The thing is, if I try to do it like this, so if I try, you know, now I'm getting resistance, and so that just goes. It's a minor thing, but it just kind of shows you that this is very different from the previous watch, where you could just lay it down on the charger, lay it down on a Qi charger, and you have nothing to worry about. Here, you have to bring this with you. If you are traveling with this watch, this charger must come with you because it's proprietary. There's nothing else that you can use to charge the watch right now. I said from the jump that the Pixel Watch 2 would make a compelling upgrade, and that it's something that you should think about. And I still maintain that, because I think the feature set, the upgrades, the improvements ultimately make a good case for benefiting from what's been added. Is it a massive upgrade? I would say not necessarily, but that's largely because it looks so similar to the previous one, right? I mean, it's not like Google came out with two different sizes. So if you're okay with the size and you're okay with the look, I think once you're past those things, I think you're going to be very okay with the functionality. That part, I think, is what really will win you over more than anything else. It's an aesthetically pleasing watch, there's no question. It's got an elegance to it, but I think it's how it works and how it integrates that ultimately will be the winning thing here. And that's my review of the Google Pixel Watch 2. You can check out more about it by just clicking the link below. For the Best Buy blog, I'm Teddy K. Thanks for watching.